Welcome to Dragon Con Saturday. We love seeing a full packed room here. I'm your moderator and host, Jim Pels. I write science fiction, urban fantasy, horror, bit of this, that, and the other, as well as a bunch of nonfiction and stuff as well. I'm one of the founders from the Annual Convention, where we do a bunch of online stuff. And I'm going to present a whole bunch of really big panels up here that are all here to cause trouble today, because we're going to be talking about sidekicks. Jody Lynn.
Hello, I am Jody Lynn. I write science fiction and fantasy. I've published over 50 books and over 200 short stories. I run the writer's workshop here. Your microphones are too hot and we're going to start feeding back on each other. Thank you. And I'm also a coordinating judge for the Writers of the Future contest, which means I may, in fact, have read some of your stories, but I don't know it's you. So, send me stories.
Hey guys, my name is Matt Riverman. I write a book series called Dungeon Crawl. Never heard of it. I didn't want to be on the Sidekicks panel.
Hey guys, I'm Rachel Renner. I know all of you are here for me. I want Matt in particular to feel welcome, so please make sure. I write urban fantasy, romantic fantasy, all sorts of fantasy, love and side characters, and again, all sorts of trouble for those of you who went to my dinosaur. I can't say that, can I? Read aloud. I was going to say porn, and then I wasn't going to say porn, and then I looked at you and that mischievous twinkle in your eyes.
Matt knows more.
We all have this shield right here.
All right. Mel.
My name is Mel Todd, and I'm very scared about the fact that I might be the sanest person up here. I'm an author and owner of Badass Publishing. I have about 40 novels out. I write a little bit of everything, except I don't write romance, because it's much more fun to blow up Australia.
You can blow and then blow.
I like the explosions of all the dirt and the mushroom cloud first.
I like explosions too.
This is sidekicks. We'll end the world in the bar later. It's okay. And we're going to try to keep it a little cleaner, so even with that up here. So, since hypothetically we're talking about sidekicks, and I suspect this panel is just going to go entirely off the rails considering who's here. I wanted to start with an easy softball question that hopefully everybody has thought through. We all know and love our favorite sidekicks. Batman has Robin and Robin and Robin and Robin and Robin and Robin. But I want to kind of go with Jody Lynn. Who is your favorite sidekick and why are they important to you?
Ooh. Well, I think that we could go way back to when I was watching television as a young child, when there was a program called Man from U.N.C.L.E. And everybody thought that Napoleon Solo was going to be the hottest thing since sliced bread, and even way back to unsliced bread. No, we were watching the blonde guy, Mr. Ilya Kuryakin. So he was my first love as a sidekick. Because he completely took over.
Wow, I love the idea of, characters being loyal to each other. I think one of my favorites is Kit from Yes.
There's just so many. There's Short Round, right? From originals. So great. I'm so glad to see that actor's making a comeback. But I don't think anyone is ever gonna be Robin with nipples built in. I don't care what you say. Robin with nipples for the win. I would argue both. My question is whether you have a fluffer beforehand to fill in. Fiddler wants to ask.
Just remember, the bat nipples were only upset by the credit card, right? The bat credit card, right? We had great product.
Really quick, I don't appreciate that they're having more fun than us next door. I don't, that's just rude. If you all could just scream, woo, every time.
for Shaggy. Without Shaggy, you feed him Scooby snacks. I mean, come on, the guy had an unlimited supply of Scooby snacks. So Shaggy all the way.
Shaggy all the way. All right, great. Now that we've got the simple questions out of the way, let's start the existential crises. Matt. So in writing, right? There's a bunch of writers up here. We lie to you all the time. We love to play the sidekicks because often they take over the story, right? We start with who's that fun person that creates a little chaos, a little mayhem, have a little bit of fun with, right? There's the foil. So, Matt, what is it for you that makes that fun sidekick, right? What's the thing that makes it important, that makes it fun, that makes them, often outshine that main protagonist?
Well, I read a book series called Dungeon World, Carl, and
I've never heard of that series.
so for the sidekick, I just named the series after him. So I just, everything's from Carl's point of view. It's kind of like a Moby Dick sort of thing where the main character is, the real answer is the main character is Carl, obviously, but Princess Donut steals the spotlight in every scene she takes. And that's, when you're writing, that's actually a very dangerous thing if you're not doing it deliberately. If you're doing it deliberately, then it's fine, but you have to be careful. Like Rachel was just talking about the time she took her top off.
Excuse me?
For Tom Arnold, she offers. True Lies, Tom Arnold steals that movie because he was a comedic relief. And as a result, that can be a problem. So you have to be careful. I don't even know the question was.
I think the answer is never tell you anything in confidence.
I'm not shouting that from the roof.
I was saying it
You
as
said
my
it to
regular, very quiet voice.
So Rachel, who's your sidekick, right? What makes a good sidekick for you in storytelling? And how do you try to balance that right level of foil to making sure everybody remembers the sidekick that causes problems?
Right. So my probably most beloved sidekick is Biscuit from the Guild of Blood series. He's a phoenix who came to life from a tattoo, loves almonds, has definitely feigned being injured, like wing drooping, ruffled feathers to get an almond. Again, rude. I don't choose question, you guys.
You are rude.
I think for all sidekicks, of course Matt's completely right. They have to steal the scene on purpose, right? I think it also helps so much to have a foil with what's going on in your story. If you're having a dark moment, a depressed moment, if you have a prolonged low beat in your chapter in that scene, it does help as long as it doesn't take away from the, authenticity of what you're trying to write. It does help to have that sidekick who comes in and just makes you smile in the darkness, right? So that's always nice.
For me, I like it when the sidekick's personality is almost diametrically opposite of the main character's personality. But it's especially fun when you're doing it from a non-human perspective. So like Donut and stuff, my main sidekick is also technically a cat. Well, technically it's a cat. C-A-T-H. He's not an earth cat, but he looks like a giant carrot hog. However, his running joke is when she gets in a fight is, when you kill them, do I get to eat them? And her standard response is, I don't think humans taste as good as you think they do. His response, hot sauce solves everything. And so it's really fun when you're getting into these serious things that humans are really tied up about, like they're trying to figure out how to explain to the kids that, how they came, mom, sex, all that stuff, and Krill is like, you guys talk about sex way too much, just tell them. I'll tell them, and gets up to leave, and they're all like, no, Joe! and that's just fun, because what he's saying is just so against what we are conditioned to think, that's just hilarious. I have, however, been told that long pork tastes like chicken.
I heard it's like the other white meat. you guys know that? There is no rule out there that says you can't cannibalize a person. So, I mean, you have a rule about the federal government.
I think you actually get in trouble for handling of the body.
Okay, but cannibalism in and of itself is not illegal.
So-
You cut your own.
That's what
You
I
can. So, all right.
My body, my choice.
But I don't think that, so we're back to this bar conversation. We could be on Dragon Con TV talking about cannibalism, right? How do you slow cook an author? Joe Dillon?
Embarrassed in front of 800 people.
Well.
Name times where you're not supposed to at Dragon Con.
So, in my own work, the Lord Thomas Canaga books, he is already the goofy person. So Parsons, the sensible, self-effacing gentleman who has many abilities, including killing people very quietly if necessary, but also keeping Thomas out of trouble, which is by far the harder thing to do. I like him because they are essentially Jeeves and Wooster in space. So if you like P.G. Woodhouse, you would like to see what they would do if they had access to faster than light drive and all sorts of other things like that. I enjoy having Thomas get himself in, almost at his feet, well, sometimes many feet down, and having Parsons pull him out of the situation. He's a great sidekick because he's the one with the answers. And sometimes that's half the fun. In stories where I have had a sidekick that was not human or seemed to be the goofy one, they act as a foil for the main character. They act as a reflection. So that's part of their purpose, but also to have the hero have someone to talk to. And I think that's an important phase for them. The Don Quixote and Sancho Panza, Sancho was there to say, yes, my lord, no, my lord. Please do not tilt the windmills, my lord, because they will take your lance away from you and hold it way high up in the air. Yes, that, way up there. I enjoy a story with a good sidekick, but it's tricky to make it so that people still pay attention to the main character in the end.
So one of the things I love about the notion of the sidekick, right? When you're playing with them, you've got the opportunity for two good foils, right? You have the opportunity for the foil of the sidekick that's there to help, support, do everything else. And you also then have the antagonist. What about an antagonist having their sidekicks, their henchmen, and the people that are there to help them out? So Rachel, I'm gonna throw this over and start on your end of things. How about handling sidekicks for the antagonists?
Oh, we love sidekicks for the antagonists, right? Like, look at Iago. Jafar would be nothing without Iago. And antagonists, their character arc, their character development, their personalities, it's just as important as the protagonist. And I think that's where some people fall short, thinking that the antagonist in and of themselves is a side character. They're not. They should be as fully fleshed out as your protagonist. Therefore, they should have some kick-ass sidekicks to help seal the deal, right? So, yeah, give me side characters with everybody. The side character should have a side character, right? Right? I have an emotional support pig, Toby. He too has a little emotional support pig plushie.
So what are we doing tonight, Brian?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Get in trouble with Dragon Con.
I think it can, as long as your sidekick also has to have some goals. I mean, for instance, my sidekick's goals may be relatively limited, i.e. keep this person out of trouble and get more salmon. It's a cat. The cat's goals are very limited. Pet me, brush me, worship me. Good. But when the villain has it, it can get really, really interesting because sometimes those goals do not align with what the villain wants. And then you can get really fun mayhem involved.
All right, what's a good example?
A Pinky in the Brain. I mean, come on, all the stuff that Pinky has done with Vincent brings stuff completely off the rails. Or something made him work, which is usually funnier.
Pinky and the Brain's an antagonist? I always thought it was a role model.
Well, Pinky and Brain are the antagonist to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I thought the rest of the world was the problem. Never.
Dexter's antagonist, his sister,
His
the tall,
sister.
skinny one.
Didi.
Didi, yeah, Didi.
Oh, I need to.
She foils him.
All right, Debbie, man.
Sometimes the antagonist has inept sidekicks. So they're already at a disadvantage. They're not only trying to rule the world or trying to take over the world, but they're having to battle their own sidekicks because for some reason they're really, really bad at, I suppose, employment interviews. You know, how good would you be as a henchman? Well, I would draw for the objects on my foot and spill the magic potion before you can give it to the princess and fall in love with you. Oh, wonderful, hired. So they're obviously bad at something already. So I think that they need, some coaching, possibly to find better henchmen.
Every villain needs to start somewhere, right? There's internships. That's why we have Google. So,
You mean don't be evil?
It's a trope, the antagonist has the inept sidekicks, and I actually like it when it's backwards. There's lots of examples of sidekicks of the antagonists that are actually really interesting. For example, this is going to be a weird detail, but Azrael from Gargamel, the Smurfs. So the cat is a cat, and the cat does what Gargamel wants, but the cat's doing what a cat would do. And there was an episode of the Smurfs where they went out of their way to talk about how Azrael was just a cat doing cat things, and if Azrael but wasn't being let loose basically on the Smurf village, just be a normal cat. And I always find that interesting when they kind of take the camera lens and don't have them as one-dimensional characters and shine it in a different way. And that's why Smurfs is one of the greatest.
well, generally cats are the antagonists of their own story. Let's talk about this a little bit more, right? Diving into and looking at what about when we have our sidekicks that are actually way smarter than their protagonists, right? Let's think about Arthur and the Tick. We frequently have, somewhat satirical and sometimes not entirely intentionally, that idea of the hero's not that bright, but they just keep making their way through. So now what about for you? What about when it is the sidekick that really is the intelligent one, the one that makes stuff happen, brings up
The first example that pops in my mind is how many people have seen the Disney Rapunzel with the horse?
Oh,
I'm like, that horse is more brains than everybody else in the entire show put together. Honestly, sometimes it's fun as long as I was never a big fan of George of the Jungle, the cartoon. The movie was amazing because Brendan Fraser, always amazing. But I want the main character to at least have some brains and maybe be overly naive. But if they're dumb as a rock, they're not as much fun to read, especially if the sidekick is the only one with brains. I mean, like I said, the horse was funny because the other guy wasn't stupid, he just wasn't making the right choices. And I think that could be a lot of fun, but at the same time, if it gets too far, well, then I'm writing the wrong book. I should be writing the sidekick as the main character and the goofy hero as the sidekick.
I think it works more effectively when it's the antagonist who has a sidekick who is the real mind behind the curtain, right? I think we've seen that in the government a couple times too. Where it's like, it makes it more insidious, and I like that. I think it would be harder to do with a protagonist for sure.
About the only example I can think of that actually works is Woodward and Jeeves. The guy with the butler, Wooster, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yes, Jeeves is the smart one. He's the one who attempts to keep Bertie in line. But Bertie is fun because well, like his literary descendant, Lord Thomas Canago, he wants to enjoy life. He's going to, whether or not it's the right thing to do, whether or not it's the smart thing to do, and has a sensible gentleman looking after them, but who is ratting on him to the rest of the manservants around London, who actually keep a book of the exploits of their masters. They're great books. If you have never read Woodhouse, you would find it incredibly fun. I mean, even now, they still hold up because they're great characters. They are classics. They're archetypes.
And,
So
yeah, and they complement each other when one like really suffers from something like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, or like if I just read The Tainted Cup, which one of you go, who's that's one I've read in a long time. But then the main character is like the Watson, very efficient, but he works out with someone who's extremely brilliant, but she would be completely helpless without him because he handles all the social aspects and all the actual footwork of the problem, and that's my favorite thing about effective sidekicks is they're really fleshed out characters that don't necessarily take the camera away from the main character. In this case, he's my main character, so he's the main character, but they help each other and they complete each other in certain ways.
That's actually what I really loved about the Benedict Cumberbatch version of Sherlock, where Watson's looking at him going, how did you not know that the Earth revolves around the sun? And he said, it was useless information, it didn't apply to me, so I forgot it. Brilliant as all get out, but if it wasn't in something he thought was relevant, boosh.
that's actually almost a direct quote from the original Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. It does not care whether or not it revolves around the moon, let alone
It's not relevant. It's not
right.
relevant.
Have you ever seen a movie called Without a Clue? No, this is a Sherlock Holmes and Watson story, but it's because Ben Kingsley as Watson is a doctor, but he's also a brilliant writer. And people believe in Sherlock Holmes because he has written it. So he has hired an actor, Michael Caine, to play Sherlock Holmes. But he's an imbecile. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. The Sherlock keeps scooping things up that Watson has solved because he cannot sell the public on the idea of John Watson, crime doctor. It's a lot of fun because the Sherlock is the genuine sidekick. He's always moving things up, and the Watson has to keep pretending that Sherlock matters for the public.
Remember the Inspector Gadget?
There's an Inspector Gadget possibly that's so freaking good. It's brilliant. I saw it. It's so good.
I think you guys should scream again.
On one of my X-rated panels, you'll be screaming next to me. Just so you know, those of you who are the blanking beasties, get ready. Let's get a shit show.
So looking at and talking about our sidekicks, right? One of the things that I really enjoy a lot of the time, we see fun sidekicks that are really the narrator, right? We were just talking about Watson.
Yeah.
R2D2 is the narrator for all the films. We can blame him for 7, 8, and 9. So it's all the beeping and everything else. What is important about when the sidekick is actually the narrator of the story?
Well, we get it from their point of view, and they hold the main character up on a pedestal that they do not necessarily deserve. I've put it like that. We come to admire Sherlock Holmes, even though in some ways he can be a really odious person. Watson is his best friend, and he treats him very badly. But that can be fun too. But if they don't like him, why are they writing a story about him?
Yeah, it's just the point of view is the camera through which we see the story, and sometimes that's the best point of view, even though they're not necessarily the character. And that, as a writer, that is an extremely difficult challenge to take on, especially when you want the reader to take away the fact that this person writing is the main character. So, I mean, I made a joke about Donut, but that's kind of what it is. Because Donut is, representation in a sense.
Everything gets lost.
The world gets lost in the very first sentence.
Still. My first sentence is the rotund dimple butt cheek.
Spoiler alert.
And the woman.
Do you find, like, when you were crafting that character that I've absolutely read about and you know every detail about the story, do you find that it put extra pressure to denote whether this was a reliable or unreliable narrator, right? Because that can really affect.
Right.
Right?
Well, that I write first person usually, and first person is almost always unreliable. If you don't make the first person character at least a little unreliable, you're doing a very poor job. So yes, again, it's the lens and it's the hint of the eye point of view, and you have to always keep in mind this is what they're seeing, this is how they're experiencing it, and so a lot of times, like you said, they are experiencing.
There were children in the audience.
There were.
There were.
Still Dragon Con TV.
Okay, I might be canceled.
Well, I have a great example of this. How many people saw Thor: Love and Thunder?
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch it and go, this is just the strangest movie? You're like going, it doesn't quite jive with everything else. We were talking to some friends about it, and somebody's like, oh no, we figured out what it is. You remember that rock guy he meets at the very beginning?
Yeah.
He is telling the story of Thor to his kids. Because he is talking about this guy who really looks up to, who does all these wonderful things and is slightly larger than life. If you go back and watch that movie with the entire idea that this is somebody telling his kids for the 15th time, I caught a fish this big, the entire movie is amazing because you're seeing it as this is a love story to Thor by a fan. And it's a great example of how just your perspective, because we all saw the same movie, but if you change how you view that story, you're suddenly like, oh, well, that was a much better story than I thought it was.
Well, that's a scene that's going to be in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Did you guys like the screaming goats?
Yes, yes.
So,
I laughed after the fourth time. Screaming goats.
just as a quick aside, the guy who wrote that movie was one of the guys who wrote this guy, Chris Yost, and he happens to be the one who's writing on the Carlton television series. So,
I obviously chose the exact right example.
Do you want me to pass you the 20 now?
Okay, I have it.
You almost say 100.
Negotiate later. Get contracts first. So, all right, I'm going to throw one of those nice little fun existential dread questions out, just because, well, I'm going to torture that. So here's the question, because this is the conversation that happens in the bar with writers. Are we the sidekicks to our characters in writing?
Yes, yes, we are. Because we're trying to present them the best light possible, and sometimes that's not possible. But we do our best anyway. And we're obviously the dumb ones. Because we're not writing about ourselves, we're writing about them.
yeah, we're the great filter, and we're trying to put as much of ourselves in it without putting ourselves in it at the same time, and that's kind of a hard thing. I thought, that you're going to ask me who are people that
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there.
But yeah,
Yes, Buzzkill is coming. Let's hear a woo for that.
It's kind of a dejected mood. Yeah.
You can make that sound after we kill them.
I don't know, I'm having existential dread for your next question, so go ahead, Mel. We're gonna emotionally prepare.
So, I'm sure you guys have heard this. A dog goes, they feed me, they pet me, they clean up my shit. They must be gods. And a cat goes, they feed me, they pet me, they clean up my shit. I must be a god. Trust me, my characters are cats.
I promise to behave. We're not killing anybody yet. So, I want to go back to that notion of when you think about side characters, right? We grew up in cartoons, when we grew up in early stage stories, the sidekicks were often the ones, well, at least for me, where you're looking at who you're relating to. Again, this goes back. But I want to dive, we talked a little bit about your great love and the love story there for your first sidekick. But I want to know which sidekick has been influential in you in your story.
You're acting like I have any control over what my characters do.
Yeah, I know.
So if you sign up for my newsletter, I do a little micro story at the end of every newsletter, and by micro, I mean like 350 words or less. I literally go and grab a picture that I bought from Deposit Photos, put it up, and go, and boom, 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 and write the story. I have no idea where it's going, what it's doing, or anything else. My characters are worse. I have no clue. What?
You were talking about the kind of money I'm gonna get later. I don't know. Do either of you have like any specific side character that's jumping in? I think for me there are those side characters that just stick with you, that make the story so much better, so much funnier. Like I said, add light in the darkness, or add darkness in the light. We all grew up on Disney, right? The Disney sidekick. The genie is such a great side character. I don't have anyone specific.
This is how I know I'm older than you, because I'm thinking, first I watched Neutral Millennials Wild Kingdom, where I watched the animals get killed, and then it was Disney.
Yeah, I'm right on the cusp, right, of Gen X and Millennials, so I can't say Never Ending Story.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Talk about, an entire generation needing therapy. So, that inspired me to not do that.
Well, we're back to, Kingdom, Marlon Perkins, Wild Kingdom, pushed Jim Fowler out of the airplane in 100 feet without a parachute. So, if you're not old enough to understand that, you're
I'm just thinking about our tax now.
Let's have a moment of silence.
Every time I create a character, whether it's a side character or sidekick, I always ask myself two questions. What do they want the most in the world, and what are they most afraid of? And that, once you have that in your head, they start to become fully fleshed out characters in your mind. So I try to, relate to all of my characters. I don't want characters to exist on the page just as scenery, exist in order to bounce off of the main characters. So I try to make all of them as important to the story as possible. As a result of that, I associate with relate to myself in all of them.
I think every character that you write has a little bit of you in them. It's when you've been writing for a while and you create characters who are so far away from your daily personality that people say, where did that come from? But as you absorb media, as you meet people, all of the other things that are input into your life, things change. And you start to put more complex characters in them. They become more real. And as Matt says, you want to have their fears and their needs alongside the main character's needs. And they may not be identical. In fact, it would be really surprising if they were. But they need to be there as well, because it's going to affect how the two of them interact and how they react to the story, how they live in their world. So the more real they are, the more real the world gets to be, and the more interesting the story becomes.
That's why I think our tax had it covered.
I'm gonna tell you right now. One of the cosplays I saw that a number of years ago was so we're going to get ready to get started for your questions because I'm certain there might be one or two out there. Maybe. Yep. Hang on, we'll get there. Let's line up. Let's grab the mic and line up.
Okay, so we can kick back and.
Yeah, we got it.
That's it.
Hey, so kind of the conversation you guys are having, maybe thinking, what if a character just kind of picks off a side character that you were not expecting it to pop off? Or just thinking like Bar or the Minions, or even Harley Quinn, like, what would that happen and how would that change how you would write it happen to one of your characters? Like it just kind of took out your line of so even if it's ready to be just a throwaway kind of character.
Well, that happens all the time. I'm a pantser, so I make stuff up as I go along. I have multiple sidekicks that kind of just took on a life of their own and they kept them and they became main characters. There's a character named Samantha.
Who has it? You have it? Yeah.
She was originally meant to be like a joke character, but then when I started to realize how much people before they loved to hate her at first, now they love to love her. And she took on a life of her own, and that's kind of the fun and the joy in writing, especially as a discovery writer. When you're writing, you know your characters really, really well, and the scenes take on a life of their own. You're just writing the after action report, basically. So what do you do when it happens? You just follow the story. You write the truth.
Thank you. And the other option is to then start writing them as the main characters in their own stories as spin-offs.
Hi there, I know a lot of you are writing series. I'm curious, there was a very hot debate in my family when I started reading Dungeon Crawl, and I didn't know how many books there were, and the fact that my husband told me, oh, in book 4, it's like, wait, that's a spoiler. I don't know if he makes it. I'm curious to get your opinion on how much you feel like knowing that your series is continuing is almost a spoiler in of itself, or that the author or the reader should kind of read your books as if they were like reading them as they're coming out, not quite knowing where their story's going to go.
Ask George R. R.
Every book should always stand on its own. It should always be its own arc. If you are writing a long series that doesn't have an end point, that it's intended to go on as long as people continue to love it, then there is no spoiler to be had. But if it's a limited series, I think that the author knows that. And sometimes, of course, the publisher comes in and says, we will offer you a lot of money to write yet another book, and then yet another book, Wheel of Time. And until finally you can bring it to a conclusion.
He originally outlined that as 6 books. Did you know that? Yeah, the original outline was 6 books. Yeah.
I usually write limited series because I have a series arc, and most of the time I know where the series ends. I have no idea how they get there. But the other advantage, at least to me, is you never know what's going to hit or miss with an audience. Something you really love may just be a complete miss. I prefer to write where I'm like, okay, I know the series is done, boom. And if they love it, great. I will come up with another series with the same characters. But I don't mind writing into the dark, but I like knowing that I'm supposed to find the lighthouse eventually.
What George Martin actually did, he created a lot of tension as for you, the reader, even though you know it's going to be a long series, because he did what a lot of people thought was unthinkable and killed off what people consider the main character almost immediately. So that's one way to do it. When you pick up a book, you know that there's the series that you can see the books, you see that the main character is on the cover of all the books, so you know that they're going to live. You have to find other ways to create the sense of urgency and the sense of tension and the forward momentum. Like you always want them forward moving forward in a certain direction. And that's part of the skill and the art of being a writer. So lots of cool ways to do it.
Thank you so much.
Or you kill the main character and make them a ghost.
When writing for a large cast of characters, you've got a bunch of different sidekicks, if you will. How do you balance the dynamics of the relationships with that main protagonist that they all have to revolve around?
Quit touching your sister. I don't know how many times I've told you to sit down and shut up. It's like raising kids. It's like dealing with the classroom of little boys and oh my God, I can't remember this thing take us out of the car. He's touching me, Mom. I'm not touching you.
Children!
I have taken over the Myth Adventure series from Robert Asper. We wrote the first 12 books. We wrote 5 together and an anthology of short stories, and I'm working on the next one. One of the ways that you keep it fresh is by mixing and matching the characters. They have different skills, they have different abilities, they have different backgrounds, and for a particular mission, a particular job, it's not always going to be the same 2 or the same 3, but a combination thereof. For example, if you need a dragon, well, we've got Gleep. Gleep will take care of things. Gleep is a stone killer. Gleep looks adorable and friendly. It has to be an agreement between Gleep and whichever character is working with him so that he doesn't actually eat them. Or the brother and sister, the Trollop and Trollop, Tananda and her brother Chumley, to combine those characters so that it's interesting and it keeps the series fresh. And when I finally run out of ideas, then we'll see. Everybody will retire to a dimension. But in the meantime, I'm having fun with the mixing and matching.
Yeah, the mixing and matching is so much fun. The main character of my Gilded Blood series, she ends up in the Fey realm, and she doesn't answer her cell phone for a couple days because there's no cell phone service in the Fey realm. And because of that, her Jewish mother decides to follow her into the Fey realm, like Jewish mothers do. For any of you
Don't worry,
have one.
it was no trouble to come.
Oh no,
It's very good.
And so, I had so much fun. The Jewish mother ended up becoming best friends with one of the satyrs there, and there's a lot of are they or aren't they, which I will never answer. It's so much fun. I didn't quite know what I was going to do with the 2 of them, but I'm a bit of a discovery writer myself, and where my dim flashlight led me, I followed, and I said flashlight. Oh, now they all run. Okay, we're good.
Not kids, but immature folks, sure. Earlier in the panel, you all said what some of your favorite sidekicks were, and I wanted to find out if there were sidekicks that you guys liked, but thought could have been handled better, or that you had ideas for how they could be handled better. Perhaps Mel could chime in.
So one of the big problems you have once you really start writing books and stuff is have movies and TV shows drive you up the freaking wall. You're like, oh my God, the writing's so bad. Why? I have shut off more shows. So the answer is yes, lots and lots and lots of opinions. But that's the joy of entertainment. There's something else for me to go watch and enjoy.
We definitely need to stop burying our gays. So anytime I read about a gay side character now, if you kill that gay, I'm coming for you. There are definitely some tropes that.
People call
Oh,
the black guy always gets it.
yeah. Anytime you tokenize a side character, I'm immediately turned off. Right? If you're gonna make them a marginalized person, have a good reason, and God, God damn it, have a team of sensitivity readers, you know?
They do it with women so much too, like, especially in the 80s, like the 18. They would have like whoever the damsel of distress was, and then she would fall for the face or, you know, the leader Hannibal, who's like 20 years older than her. And it's.
I've dated an old cannibal once, which is how I know. So I felt like that was actually quite
Did he
realistic.
tell you?
Did you even look to see any chunks in the scene?
We used to call that the captain's tomato. You know, like when James T. Kirk found a girlfriend, it was he had a girlfriend and she always dies. So stop that.
The captain's tomato, that's the greatest term.
That's what it is.
It's a bad idea to be James Bond's first girlfriend. Or his wife.
Oh, when they have to have a different girlfriend in every single movie because God forbid we look at the same woman 2 movies in a row. Tangent.
What does Princess Donut want most in the world, and what is she most afraid of?
I mean,
Spoiler.
well, the true answer to both of those questions is a spoiler for the series as a whole. So I'm not answering.
And Samantha?
Well, actually, that's almost even bigger spoiler.
That's kind of fascinating because I thought you'd made it pretty clear what Donut fears most in the world, so now I'm intrigued. But my question is also, if Donut is relevant to it, and it's about getting into the heads of non-human characters, because often you'll have a viewpoint character and then your sidekick can be non-human. And I went to a writing fight scenes panel, and they said, well, the best way to learn is to pick up a combat sport. You can't learn about non-human things by just picking up being a non-human hobby. Practically, unless you're a furry, I suppose. But, so how do you get into the mindset, knowing that physically you're always kind of going to be a human? How do you get into that mindset of writing a character from a very non-human perspective?
You can always try finding a raccoon.
I have a parrot at home who's a cockatoo who sits on my shoulder and writes, like he'll come zooming in there and scare the shit out of me. And you know, he wants head scratches, almonds, to do naughty things to my hand, and and like cheese, right? So when I had a parrot familiar, I was like, okay, almonds, cheese, all the things that they like, right? Sometimes it helps to have that character as a pet. Other times, like for the emotional support pig, the main character is supernatural pica, and so she eats. The first line is, I used to eat rocks as a child, so she eats gems and minerals, and some of those she actually gives the pig to give him more empathetic and intellectual properties, and that's really fun to get into. But no one can hear the pig except her, and that's so much fun.
This is still me.
This is Toby. How did you know about Toby?
Because I have a pug.
Oh, I said it. Okay, yeah. I want to see a picture of your pug. Or no.
Yeah, so one of the things that I really like that Matt does really well in Dungeon Crawler Carl is give autonomy to the side characters and let them impact the world without the main character being present. How do you guys work that in, and like what are your approaches to that?
I love these ideas.
Sorry, yeah, they do it for you. Right?
Well, you already know the answer. But my
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to the questions. I was thinking about parks.
So the real answer is, I mean, I kind of answered it earlier. If you flesh them out as main characters, it's dangerous to have a main character. Everything that happens in the world, especially if you have big things happening, every single thing that's happening that's important in the world is happening because of the main character, and that's not going to be realistic. There's, in the most recent Chrome, there's giant battles that are happening, and it's a very hard thing to write in a first-person war novel when it's an overview of the entire war, because you're not seeing firsthand all the things that happen. So it's spinning plates. You're doing the best you can, and once you give yourself permission to allow things to happen off screen, it's so much easier.
And nobody's ever going to see and know everything that's happening in the world, right? In any world, there's things going on that are happening across town, across the country. It could be a conversation in the room next to you, you don't know, right? You'll never know everything. So if that's going to be the case, you can make assumptions, and that often can lead to the unreliable narration. You make an assumption, you don't have facts.
Okay, these clips are so cute, you guys. Like, seriously, they're the derpiest little dog you've ever seen. Thank you for your question.
So, this was specifically for you, Matt.
Thank you for being polite tonight.
Sorry,
He
the
needs
rest
love.
of you have shows coming. So, how much liberty do you let the person who's going to write it from a show's point of view take with your story? Because I know that there's a bunch of stories that the writers of the show took.
So now you have to reframe that question in terms of sidekicks.
Yeah. So how
As
do
the
they do
sidekick
it?
to the television series, I am considered a co-executive producer. Well, first off, the guy that's writing it, Chris Yost, he was on my Patreon as a fan before any of this happened. And he lobbied to become a writer because he was already a fan. So that's.
Okay, well that makes sense.
But the truth is, I do my best. We haven't gotten to the point where that, that's going to be an issue yet, because nothing's really happened yet. I don't know. This is my first foray into that sort of thing. In theory, I have a lot of agency, but in reality, I have multiple friends who've gone through this process, and we all know what happens. We're doing our best. But the people who are in charge of the show, working on the show, on the creative side of it, all of it. But there's also other groups of people who have the money side of this stuff. We'll see what happens.
Come to my IP panel later today, or later tonight, and yeah, I can answer that.
We've all talked about our favorite sidekicks, but who are your least favorite sidekicks, and how do you save those characters?
Like in our own stories, who's our least favorite sidekicks?
In all media, yours or anybody else's, which sidekick do you hate the most, and how will you rewrite it so that they don't suck?
You should have said like in the beginning, so I could have marinated on that for like 15 minutes. That's a great question.
In my own character, it's easy. If I don't like them, or I don't like the voice Jeff does or something. Kill them.
How do you save Scrappy Doo?
You don't. You slow cook them.
Let's talk about Jar Jar Binks for a minute. Like, what would you guys have done differently for poor Jar Jar?
I love
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar.
There is a Reddit thread found a few years ago outlining how Jar Jar Binks was actually Darth Sith. And they have all of the clips proving it. It absolutely makes perfect sense that it had been carried through to have him be revealed to be on the dark side at the end. It would have been
He was like
epic.
the master behind the puppet.
Yes.
But that would have been the greatest plot twist of all time. Or R2D2, I equally would have been there for that one too. Yeah.
So my question is about your side story. So some stuff happens that we don't read about because you guys have your main character being the narrator. So do you guys ever have that really interesting kind of side story, something that happens off screen? And if you do have them, do you guys think you'll ever
I don't know, write that side story so the rest of us can be on it?
Yes, novellas, short stories, stuff to build out the worlds.
Come join our Patreons.
Yeah.
Extra content.
Yeah, so specifically, Carl, the hardcover editions only have a novella in progress. They're just chapters at the end of each one, called Backstage at the Pineapple Cafe. And it's from each one is from a different point of view of an NPC in the dungeon, and it's all going to culminate into a story that's going to affect the main storyline. But I'm also writing the main storyline as a way where you don't have to have read it, but those of you who have read it will get just that little extra. Yeah, it's in your best interest as an author. If you're doing side stories and stuff like that, you don't want to limit your audience to only people who've read Acts. You want to make it stand on the world on its own. So that's what I'm doing the best, and that's what I think most of them too.
All right, I'm going to throw one more question out here because I'm going to cause the existential dread because I'm sure there's one more question out there to lift this up after I go for the dark side. Who is the most painful sidekick you ever saw die outside of the audience?
Dobby.
Yes, I can remember.
Dobby and Hedwig.
No, Hedwig was so much worse.
Spock.
Okay, whose death were you most gleeful about? Who had it? What side character had
Oh,
it coming?
what happened to Umbridge? Wasn't she like dragged away by centaurs? It was implied that yeah, there was a weird implication there. Not the implication is true.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to do the biggest woo of like your entire lives? Go back to do it on 3, so we're singing. So you guys game? Yeah. Oh, we should have said, was someone videotaped this one?
Oh, yeah, someone can videotape this for us.
I mean, okay, fine. I just don't want to
Well, yeah, but you can get us and the audience with that view.
Hang on, I'll video the view from here.
Thank you. All
Okay,
right,
that's, okay.
we're gonna do it on 3 because I know you're gonna ask. This is it.
All right, now hang on, here's the rules. Everybody out there is going to video the woo from your phones up here. And you're gonna tag all of us, and then we're gonna tag all of you back with it.
Wait. If it's not the loudest woo I've ever heard, I'm killing Mongo.
I'm gonna save Mongo for you. I'm here with you. I'm here to protect you. But this character doesn't look shit.
I missed that one. Say that again on camera.
I am definitely gonna save Mongo for you guys.
Mongo's dead. Mongo's
On the
dead.
count of 3, Kenny's gonna go 1, 2, 3. Biggest woo of your lives. You ready for this? 1, 2, 3.
Mongo not feeling so good.
Alright, just stand up and clap, guys.
I thought you were like all right, well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. We appreciate it. I want to thank my panelists for allowing me to, torment them a little bit. And we appreciate it. Have a great Dragon Con.